Hello everybody and welcome to Kit 11. We're doing this slightly differently from now on as I've got a complete new setup for recording. This is the beautiful poinsettia frame and I will go through what dies and stamps and stencils we're using. All sweet poppy, and this is the beautiful poinsettia frame. I should know them off by heart. And the lovely poinsettia stamp from Sweet Poppy. And I've used some of Sweet Poppy sentiments. I will pop those to a side and we will get on stamping first of all. The lovely poinsettia. And as I'm going to be using watercolour pencils for this, I am going to stamp with the VersaFine Black. And when I find it, it is somewhere here. So I will stamp with the beautiful poinsettia stamp. So again, just light taps. Stamp this on to, it is just the nice lovely white stamping card. I have one of these lovely buffers, so if in all doubt, if you're not pressing properly, you can use the buffer as well. Just needs a little bit more in the centre. So again, just add a little bit more of your ink pad. This is the beauty of using the stamping platform, that you can go over and re-ink and re-stamp. And that should now very nearly just done the beautiful centre. The little sentiment at the bottom, I'm going to stamp in green because I thought it was just that little bit more festive. Whoops. So I'm using pine needles from the Distress Ink range for this. And there, it doesn't need any more. And notice there's a tiny little bit of black that I haven't pressed in there, so I'm just going to press it all down again, and there it is now taken it all. As you know, I have a little bit of weakness in my shoulder, so bear with me. So I'm just going to pop my stamping platform to a side, and then we will get on. I've already got one stamped that has dried, so rather than use the one I've just stamped and risk any of the borders bleeding, using the one that I've already stamped. So what I'm going to use on this is watercolour pencils and my watercolour brushes. I'm going to start with the green, and I want a nice sort of I don't know what you'd call it. It's not really an earthy green, but it's a nice wintry green. I'm using Faber-Castell pencils. So just make sure that I've got water coming through. Get a little bit of kitchen towel that I can just wipe off if I come to it. And again, just going to, it doesn't matter if you go over the edges because we are cutting this out. So just try and keep it off the actual poinsettia, but it doesn't matter if you're going over the actual leaf edges. I'm just going to go all around these. And we'll then go over, when we've got this done, we'll go over with a slightly darker green to just highlight different areas of the leaves. And I love this poppy stamp. This Sweet Poppy have got some beautiful stamps for Christmas. And I really love this one. It is so versatile. You can actually do it, if you want, you can do it by creating a mask, by stamping onto masking film with stays on, black stays on, cutting that out, and then when you've done your first stamp, you can then put the mask onto it and stamp either side and overlap, and it will look as if your next flowers are behind the original one, and it looks beautiful. So just working through all these at the moment, and I hope you've all got your Christmas cards made. I've been busy getting all mine done. You will appreciate that this was recorded before I had my operation, so by the time you view this, I will most probably be in a sling. So I'm trying to keep ahead of everything, but I will try to get kits done if I can, if at all possible, and keep them going into the new year. And bit by bit we've nearly worked around all the leaves, and it's a lovely lovely edging to cut on this. It's not a difficult pattern to cut out. I know people don't like, a lot of people don't like fussy cutting, but this really isn't fussy cutting. It's quite a nice pattern style to cut out. So now I'm just going on to a different darker green and just blending it out from the tips, so we've just got that little bit different. What I may do is I'm going to do this probably in two videos, because to do it all in one I think will be a little bit too long to upload. So I will probably, once I've finished colouring this in, I'll stop this and then go on to the second part, which will be doing the frame and the blending for the frame. It is quite a long process, and you'll find it a lot easier if you are just watching I'm tongue-tied, watching them in two parts. So just blend that out a little bit, and again just blend it out a bit from the base. What I like about working with watercolour brushes, because you can blend them so well. I'm hoping that by doing the videos this way, you do have a lot easier view. It's a lot clearer for you. I'm now doing them on my iPad, and it's in a static position, so it does give you a lot clearer view. So that is the lovely green. I am now going to go on to the red. So I'll just make sure my water blush is clean. Bear with me while I just give it a little bit of a clean before I go on to the red. Right, so I'm going on to the red. So I want a really nice bright red, and I'm just going to check the colours first to make sure that I've got the right red. I think I might use a slightly different one. Yes, that's a better one. And again, it'll be done in two colours, in two shades of red. And I'm using a number 2 brush to do the base colour. And then I can go on to a number 1 finer brush for when I do the other colours, when I start to bring in the other colour. And just work all round. You can, if you wish, actually colour straight in with your pencils and then use your water brush. I just find that this is an easier way to do it. It's the way I seem to have always done it. There's no right and wrong way. It is whatever you are comfortable in doing. And if you wish to use alcohol pens, that's fine. It's nice to see people using different mediums to do these. And you could also actually do them by using a water-based dye ink pad, such as the Distress inks. You just need to spread a little bit onto your glass mat or onto a plate and use that as like your little source of ink for painting with. And let's come into the centre. This may look as if it's all sort of one colour, but it will be until we start adding the blending of the other colours in. You don't need to be too accurate on this first coat. All you needed to do is lay down your base colour, and then you can start blending out with different shades of red. And that's what makes this quite an easy design to work with, because they're quite big petals, so you don't have to worry too much. Where the little dots are in the middle, you can colour that over, because we're going to add that with a lovely gold gem when we've finished. I'm just going to add a little bit more red onto this first one. It seems to have dried off a little bit pale. That's better. So the beauty of this has been, I wouldn't say slapdash, but you don't have to be that accurate with your base coat. It's when you come to adding the blending colours that you just need to take a little bit more care. We're not far off getting round. And as I said, if you do happen to go over a little bit, don't worry, because we will be cutting this out. And what I shall do is, in this part one, I will do this part coloured in, blended and cut out. And then in the second part, we'll go on to doing the lovely stenciled frame and finishing the card off. I think you'll find it's a lot easier, because then you can just concentrate on getting this part done, and this can then go to dry nicely before you go on to doing anything else. And I don't mind if these leaves are a bit mottled, these petals are mottled. No flower has a flat surface, so you know it's beautiful. You say it looks more natural. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Because petals and on flowers, they vary in different colours, different shades of the same colour. Nearly there. Just going round, not far off. And nearly there. And then that is now the base coat that is down on your design. I'm now going to change over onto my number 1 brush, which is a more detailed brush. Let's make sure that I've got water coming through, and I'm going to now go on to a darker red. Just let me make sure that I've got the dark red. Let me see. I've got two different reds, so I want to make sure that I've got the dark one. Yes, that's fine. And first of all, we're going to start by picking up the shadows. I say blend them out. Just starting to, first of all, just do the base of each petal and just blending it out. So we've got some nice shadow. There's all underneath, all the under petals will all have a section that is in shadow. It is not as vibrant in colour as the rest of the leaves. So just working around the under petals first, and they'll blend out nicely. I'll just blend it in. Just blend nicely. I just want to start and run just some little bits. Don't want to be a lot. Just enough to give it a bit of a shading. Just a little bit, just in the bottom corner. And then we'll work on the outer edges of the leaves. And just a tiny wee bit just in the centre of the top layer. Again, just blending out. Doesn't want much, just enough to give the petal shape really. The last little bit on here, doesn't want a lot, just enough. Now we're going to tip onto the little tips. So we just start at the tip and just bring like a little V in and then blend it out. Again, just a nice tip. And blend it down. I'm working on the bottom layer first again. And then I'll work upon my layers. This gives the petals some shape, so they don't look too flat. Now we'll start on the upper leaves. Do exactly the same. nearly finished. And if you want them a little bit darker, you can always go over them a second time. See how it is when you've got this first layer done. You may feel that it just wants a little bit more, but it's better to start with too little rather than having too much. And the last little one here. Now I think some of these just need a little bit more, so I'm just going to tip some of those just that little bit more at the tips, just odd ones. Just this one, I think. Just a tiny wee bit more on that one. And there we have our poinsettia coloured in. So I'm going to show you now how I cut them out. And I know it maybe seems silly when I take my big scissors, but I cut it as close as I can to the actual design. And just make sure that I don't cut too close to the Merry Christmas at the bottom. And I am now going to go and work bit by bit, keeping my scissors at a 45-degree angle as I work round, and just work round, cutting right on the black line all the way round. It is not a hard one to cut out. Again, I find it easier to, I know it sounds daft, but it's waggle my card and not really move my scissors. So then if I put that on there, you can see you get a lovely shape on your line. And again, just on the 45-degree angle. And if you need to shape anything, just waggle your card. And again, just keeping them tilted at a 45-degree angle and cutting straight into the black line. And again, waggle your card. That's why, as I say, if by cutting into the black line, it doesn't matter if you've actually gone over your line when you've been colouring in, because you're cutting all those outer edges off. Again, just down that little bit. If you need to just shave a little bit just to get into other areas, that is fine. You'll all have your own comfortable way of cutting. And this I just found is mine. So as you can see, it's cutting out beautifully all the way around. And it is not hard to cut out. Just going like that. Again, a bit of a waggle on the green leaves, the under leaves, will give you the beautiful shape that these petals have. Actually, I think they're called bracts, aren't they, on poinsettias? They're not called leaves. And again, just into the black line. almost round now. And last leaf or bract, whichever you, if you're a horticulturist or a keen gardener, you'll probably know what I'm saying. Last little bit. Oh, the wind's getting up. I hope you can't hear it. And there is the beautiful poinsettia cut out. I'm going to leave it at that point and then start on part 2 with the stencil and